Day 9 of the Diddy trial wasn't supposed to change anything, just another tabloid headline in a long line of celebrity scandals. The Manhattan courtroom buzzed with the usual noise, flashing cameras, fast-tapping reporters, and the low hum of spectators waiting for drama. But then, the door opened. And in walked Ice Cube. Not with a swagger. Not with a smile. But with silence and a folder. He didn't come for the spotlight. He came to burn it down. What followed wasn't testimony. It was an unmasking. Cube didn't just talk about Diddy, he exposed a system. A machine built on control, enforced by silence, and protected by fear. He named names, shared stories, and shattered illusions. That courtroom didn't just witness a trial. It became the epicenter of an earthquake that rocked Hollywood's foundation. And as Cube spoke, it became clear this wasn't just about one man's crimes. It was about the price of silence in an industry that profits from obedience. And for the first time in a long time, someone refused to stay quiet. Cube didn't strut, didn't shout. He didn't need to. He walked into the courtroom with quiet purpose, no entourage, no theatrics. Just a folder in his hand. And when he opened it, the room held its breath. This wasn't a PR stunt. He wasn't there to promote a new album or polish his image. He was there to expose something bigger. Not just Diddy. Not just a scandal. But a machine. A machine that feeds on silence. That rewards obedience with fame and buries anyone who dares to speak out. Cube called it what it is, a system built on control. One that disguises manipulation as mentorship, and fear as opportunity. This wasn't just testimony, it was confrontation. Not just against a man, but against an entire industry that's kept its secrets locked behind closed doors. Until now. With every word, Cube peeled back the layers. And by the time he was done, no one in that courtroom could pretend they hadn't seen what he revealed. Because truth doesn't need to shout. Sometimes, it just needs to show up, with a folder. Ice Cube called it the golden circle, but it wasn't gold that made it powerful. It was control. A quiet cabal at the heart of the entertainment industry. Not producers. Not executives. Power brokers. Gatekeepers. The kind you don't see in the credits, but who decide who makes it, and who vanishes. According to Cube, they don't look for talent, they look for obedience. It's not about your voice, your craft, or your passion. It's about whether you'll play along. Whether you'll say the right things, go to the right parties, stay silent when it counts. If you do, the red carpets roll out. The awards come. The press turns friendly. But if you say no even once, you disappear. Cube described it as an illusion of choice. They make you feel like you're in control, like you've earned your spot. But every opportunity comes with strings. Invisible at first. Then tightening. And when someone resists. When someone dares to say, I won't play this game, they don't get warned. They get erased. Projects die. Phones stop ringing. Their name becomes a whisper. And no, Cube wasn't guessing. He wasn't speculating. He laid it out like a blueprint. This wasn't paranoia, it was pattern. A pattern repeated so many times it became invisible. Normal. Until now. Because Cube wasn't just naming names, he was naming the system. And once you see the strings, you can't unsee the puppet show. At the center of it all, Ice Cube said, was Sean Diddy Combs. Not just a player in the system, but the one pulling strings. Cube painted a chilling picture. Young artists, hungry for success, drawn in with smiles, promises, and open doors. Diddy made it look like family, like community. A place where dreams were nurtured. But it was a trap. They were offered opportunity, then bound by unspoken contracts. Loyalty wasn't earned, it was demanded. And once inside, the cycle began. Favors that turned into obligations, deals that created debt, relationships twisted into chains. Cube didn't mince words. He said, they thought they were joining a family. What they joined was a prison. A prison built not with bars, but with fear, pressure, and silence. The kind of prison where you're told you're lucky to be inside, while everything you are is being taken piece by piece. And the warden? According to Cube, it was Diddy. Not just another star. Not just another mogul. The architect. Then Ice Cube said a name that shifted the entire room, Jamie Foxx. You could feel the tension spike. The gallery sat up. The attorneys froze. Because this wasn't a random example. This was a superstar. A household name. And Cube didn't tell a scandalous story, he told a warning. He claimed Foxx didn't fall in line. He didn't fully submit to the unwritten rules of the industry machine. He questioned things. Pushed back. Held on to his independence. And the price? Swift and brutal. Projects disappeared. Show offers dried up. Deals collapsed. Quietly, surgically. And when the public asked why, the media answered with headlines designed to damage. Rumors about being difficult. Whispers about instability. Then, in 2023, came something even more alarming, Jamie's sudden, mysterious health crisis. Cube didn't point fingers. He didn't name culprits. But he asked the question nobody else dared to. What if that wasn't just bad luck? What if that was a message? A warning to others? A reminder of what happens when you say no? When you stop playing along? Because in a system built on silence and control, the consequences of defiance aren't always public and they're almost never accidental. Cube wasn't just defending Foxx. He was holding up a mirror to the entire industry. And for the first time, it felt like someone was saying out loud what so many only whispered behind closed doors. But it didn't stop with Diddy. Ice Cube said the system ran deeper. Far deeper. He described a meeting, one that on the surface looked like support. Oprah Winfrey, he claimed, arranged it. A meeting for Jamie Foxx, under the guise of personal growth, healing, maybe even mentorship. But Cube said that wasn't the real purpose. It wasn't about growth, it was about submission. And at the center of that meeting stood Quincy Jones. Not as a legend. Not as a mentor. But as a gatekeeper. Cube accused Jones of being the industry's handler, the middleman. The one who doesn't make the rules, but enforces them. The one who reminds you what happens if you step out of line. He spoke of something called processing. A term few know, but every insider understands. It's not advice. It's conditioning. A slow, quiet demand to conform, to give in. And when that doesn't work, there are other tools: fear, leverage, and blackmail. Cube claimed artists are watched, recorded, and reminded, subtly or not, of what could be used against them if they resist. Because in this system, submission isn't earned. It's extracted. Then came the surveillance. According to Ice Cube, the industry's most exclusive parties weren't celebrations, they were setups. Lavish homes, high-profile guests, flowing drinks, but hidden behind the luxury was something darker. Cameras. Everywhere. Guests were unknowingly filmed, every conversation, every vulnerable moment, every lapse in judgment. And those tapes. They weren't for memories. They were weapons. Cube described what happened next. One day, an artist gets a package. No return address. Inside, footage. Footage of them, caught in a moment they didn't know was being recorded. And just like that, the message is clear: we're watching. Stay in line. Careers weren't built at those parties, they were bought. Or buried. Cube didn't mince words. He said those parties weren't celebrations, they were traps. And the laughter, the applause, the sense of belonging, that, he said, was just the bait. Because in a system built on control, silence isn't requested. It's secured. He didn't speak as a distant observer. Ice Cube wasn't sharing rumors, he was recalling a memory. He admitted it outright. He'd been to one of those parties. Early 2000s. Beverly Hills. A mansion full of celebrities, music, and luxury. But something was off. The people weren't celebrating. They looked dazed, numb, like they were present but not really there. And then he noticed the cameras. Not just one. Not just out in the open. Hidden, built into the walls, tucked into corners. Watching everything. Cube said he left that night different. Not just disturbed, but disillusioned. The glamour was a mask. And behind it was something cold, calculated, and deeply wrong. He knew what he saw. He felt the danger in it. But like so many others, he stayed silent. Until now. Because silence may buy you time, but eventually, it costs you your soul. And in that courtroom, Ice Cube made a choice. No more pretending. No more protection. The truth, finally, had a voice. Ice Cube shared a name most of us don't know. A gifted young singer, full of promise, talent, and dreams. She was offered a place with Bad Boy Records. But she said no. That simple refusal changed everything. Months later, her life unraveled. Shows cancelled without explanation. Calls went unanswered. Doors slammed shut. She was blacklisted by the industry. Rumors spread, painting her as difficult, unstable, unreliable. Her reputation, carefully built, was torn apart. And Cube looked the jury in the eye and asked, "You think that was coincidence?" He didn't pause. That was punishment. A warning to anyone who thinks the music industry is just about talent and luck. It's about control. And if you don't play by the rules, there are consequences. Then Ice Cube dropped the real question. He said, "You're sitting here trying to figure out what Diddy did. But the real question is, how many people helped him do it?" It hit the courtroom like a thunderclap. Because this wasn't just about one man's crimes. It was bigger. Much bigger. It was about the protectors. The enablers. The ones who looked the other way. The cowards who chose comfort over courage. People who stayed silent not because they didn't know, but because speaking up was too risky. Because it's easier to protect your own interests than to face the truth. Cube made it clear, the system survived not just because of one kingpin, but because of the countless others who kept the doors closed, the stories buried, the victims invisible. And now, the silence had been broken. Because asking the tough questions was the first step toward real change. How many helped him do it? That question was a mirror held up to everyone in the room and beyond. Ice Cube reached into his folder and pulled out a photograph, a picture of himself from 1991. Young. Bright-eyed. Full of hope. He held it up for everyone to see. "I thought I could succeed without compromise," he said quietly. But then, in a moment that stunned the courtroom, he tore that photo in half. The room went silent. "That version of me didn't make it," he declared. The hopeful, unbroken version. The one who believed he could walk the path without bending or breaking. But the man standing there now? He wasn't that same person. The one standing here now, Cube said, isn't afraid anymore. He'd faced the system, the fear, the silence. And now, he was ready to speak, no matter the cost. That torn photo wasn't just a symbol of a lost past. It was a declaration. A warning. And a promise. Ice Cube turned slowly toward the gallery where rising stars, industry hopefuls, and dreamers sat wide-eyed, hanging on every word. He looked directly at them and said, "Before they hand you your dream, they'll ask for something back." A pause. A quiet wait in the room. Your voice. Your dignity. Maybe everything. He let that sink in. Because the price isn't always clear at first. It's subtle. It's gradual. Like a slow leak you don't notice until it's too late. By the time you realize what you gave up, Cube warned, it's already gone. Your freedom. Your truth. Your very self. And in this industry, this machine built on control and silence, that cost can be more than you bargained for. It's not just a dream they're offering. It's a contract. And the fine print. It's written in silence and sacrifice. Cube's warning echoed in the courtroom, a call to every young artist who dared to dream. Choose wisely. Because some dreams come with a price you may never get back. As Ice Cube walked toward the exit, he turned back one last time. "They didn't kill Jamie. They didn't kill me," he said firmly. "They just made us louder." With that, he placed the torn photo gently on his folder and walked out, not just out of the courtroom, but into history. The silence had been broken. The door was wide open. And now, the question hanging in the air was clear. What are you going to do with what you've just heard?